I'm going to call up right now our Olympic 7 sensations to take a seat right here. And let's begin, you stars. Before we start, if anybody wants to fill out one more thing there in the back left-hand corner, the silent auction, one more bid. I see a couple of bidders going there, going against the Aussies. That's what we love to see, sportsmanship, spirit, you know. Keep going.
Hey, Dallen, before we do, Table 6 has 100% participation on the pledge card, so I just want to throw that out as a general challenge to the room.
Thank you very much, Greg Seacrest. No, but thank you.
I will get you back for that.
I only one, guys, so there we go.
You were so good in District 7.
I did. I just dropped it.
Perry, you got it? Testing, good. All right, ladies, grab your seat. You've got a couple minutes there to do the auction items. Let's give them a few minutes. Grab a drink if you need. We'll be with you in 30 seconds as our beautiful photographer lines up another good shot. Greg, you're just stewing there in the background. I'm buying time because they got a bid on their items, you know what I mean? Okay, you bloody sleek sensations, here we go. So, Olympic Games 2016. On the panel here, just so you know who's who, Kelly Griffin right here, women's captain. Madison Hughes, men's captain. And part-time male model, Perry Baker. So, what we're going to do is, often they're going to answer all the questions. Sometimes the questions will be directed at certain individuals to see their feedback. So if you need to come closer, come in, grab a seat. This is very intimate, if you will. The women's and men's sevens team reflect a fascinating mix of players and people from around the world. Tell us about your individual journeys, putting on your first ever Eagle jersey and what it meant to you. Speed sync. I gave these questions to you like 2 days ago, so you know. Sure I did.
I'll kick us off then. So Perry's from DC. No, I'll start with me. I grew up in England, so I started playing rugby when I was 7 years old. I started playing at school, and it was kind of what everyone did. In the fall we played soccer, and in the winter we played rugby. So I grew up with it, played throughout my school career. And then when I was looking for colleges, I started looking at the US. My mom is from Massachusetts, and so I've always had a big side of myself that kind of felt American, and my cousins ensured that happened. So it's always been a part of my identity, and I think when I was looking at colleges, it was something I really wanted to explore and investigate, and it was a big opportunity for me to go out and explore what living in the US would be like. So I eventually ended up at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire.
Yeah!
There you go. Some proud alums in the room. So I ended up at Dartmouth. I think it was a great blend of a really high-level academic school with also a really high-level rugby program, and that was something I was looking for. I think in high school I played for the High School American program, even though I was in high school in England. So it was a dream of mine to represent the US at the senior level in rugby. And Dartmouth was, I think, a big step in that, and I knew that it was a program that was serious enough to help me progress my dreams and help me accomplish those. So I was invited to a national team camp for the first time my sophomore year, and I played for the first time my junior year, and that moment was really special for me. It was something I'd dreamed of for a long time, and I think I'd been in the national team set up for about a year at that stage. And I do remember kind of getting the I think it was an email that I was getting selected, a bit impersonal, but it was a very satisfying email to receive. And most of the time I receive an email like, oh, now I've got to reply to this. But that was a nice one to get. And the pride I felt, I mean, I think I phoned my mom first, and she broke down in tears straight away. It's an incredible honor and incredible privilege to be able to represent your country. And the first time I walked out into that stadium, and the crowd are going wild, and it's just like that feeling is just something it's impossible to find anywhere else that I found. And maybe if I find a way to replicate that feeling somewhere else, then I'll move on from rugby. But for now, I'm enjoying it. I've got that bug where I just want to keep on getting out there and playing. And I don't remember if there was a third part of your question, but
No, you've done very well, my friend.
So,
You've done very
I've spoken for long enough. Here's Perry.
Thanks, Madison. That's beautiful.
So someone asked me where did my nickname come from, and I went to Academy in Ohio, and I played in my first rugby tournament with them, and this guy named James Wheelchair Walker.
What's up? How you doing back there,
He's in the
James?
building right now, but he started calling me speed stick because I was really fast, and I wasn't built at all. I was a little small guy. So he started calling me speed stick and stuck with me. But I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was introduced to the game of rugby by my high school coach. Played football, and then I went out to one of his practices one night, and I fell in love with the game of rugby. But my first heart was always football, so I went to college for football, and then at some point down the road, I ended up deciding I want to go play rugby. And I went to Tiger Academy in Ohio through James Walker and Paul Holmes. And from there, after a year being with those guys, I was introduced to go to an open tryout with Mike Friday, which is the head coach now, and I was offered a contract, and I made the team. And putting on that jersey for the first time, before I even got to the jersey, I remember him saying he was introducing a team that was going to go out and represent for the first time, and he said it was going to be in alphabetical order. So I'm listening, and he's going down Bender, Barrett, and I'm thinking, and he skips me. He's naming all these other guys. So I start shaking, I'm nervous now, I'm like, damn, I'm not going to make the top 12 to go. And like one of the last names he named was Baker, and I just started bawling because I just remember where I came from, the hard work that it took to get there. So it's an unbelievable feeling for me to go out there and represent my country with that jersey on. And it just meant for everything to me to put that on and remember everyone who was with me to represent. So that was the first time when I put the jersey on how I felt. Griffin.
So I started playing rugby in 2004, which was my first year at UCLA. And I found rugby. I played basketball and soccer growing up, but I wasn't going to be on UCLA's Division I sports teams for either of those. So I looked at the list of sports. I love being competitive. I love being part of a team. And I found rugby and immediately just fell in love with the game. I played as much rugby as I possibly could. And I made it into the USA. Used to have the under-23 program. They've sort of revamped it now, but I got to go to New Zealand in college and play there, and our team got crushed. But just to be able to be like, oh, like this is what international rugby is about. Like I want to do this. So then from there, it was kind of a struggle, I guess. I mean, not so much a struggle because I loved every moment of it, but of showing up at a lot of camps, at a lot of tryouts, and a lot of things, and just like never getting a call back for anything beyond that. But I was like, well, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. Like, I'm just gonna keep practicing. Like, I see what the girls who are making the team are doing. Like, I just, have to keep working to try to get to that level. And then in 2010, this was before there was an official Women's Sevens World Series. They're, basically the only opportunities for the women to play. There are only like 3 opportunities for the women to play sevens at the international level, and one of those was in Vegas. And I had just broken into the senior side pool. I got invited to my first camp in November. The tournament was in January at that time, and I got a phone call from the new head coach, and he's like, hey, I hear you're going to be, you're an up-and-coming player. Would you be interested in coming to Vegas and seeing if you'll make the team? And I was like, yeah, duh, I'll be there. You know, like that's basically how it was. You know, it's anytime I got an opportunity, I went. You know, I got a phone call 2 days before Thanksgiving the year before, and was like, a player dropped out of this tryout. Do you want to come? And I was like, yes. Called my mom. I was like, sorry, Mom, I'm not going to Thanksgiving. I got to go to this tryout. So I went, and because it wasn't an official sevens tournament, the U.S. was entering 2 teams, an A side and a B side. And so everybody who was at that camp was going to get to play in the tournament, but it was, were you going to make the A side or are you going to make the B side? And so then the night before, we had a jersey ceremony, and he laid out one team and the other, and he just went down the list. And the way he listed the team was he had his top 7, and then he had his subs, and then he had the top 7 for the B side, and he had the subs. And kind of like with Perry, you know, it's just like waiting, like number 1. And I was going to play position 1 through 3, so I was going to get forward. So then he did number 1, number 2, number 3. Like that wasn't me. So then I had to wait like 4, 5, 6, 7. I was like, okay, the subs. Here we go, subs. And I ended up being my first U.S. jersey. I was number 10, and I was just like so nervous and excited and proud because I was like, okay, like the work is paying off. You're doing something right. You get to go out there and represent USA. So that was quite the honor. But the story doesn't stop there, because then after that, I did not hear from the national team coaches for almost 2 years. But same thing, you know, they were open camps. You had to, at that time, pay to play. So there'd be a camp, they're like, you can come to Santa Barbara for an open tryout. It's going to be $600. Get yourself there. And I'd be like, okay. I'd pay my $600. I drove myself down, and I would show up. Still nothing. So and then after 2 years of sort of doing that, I got another call, and this time it was for a real, like, you know, the World Rugby had progressed a lot. Rugby was getting more to the Olympics. It was a real USA Sevens tournament, and I got selected to play in Dubai, and this was 2011. So that, I mean, Vegas, yes, that was my first USA jersey, but this, if you're like, you know, counting caps, I would say Dubai was my first official cap. And I just remember that tournament, that was like, the theme of that tournament for our team was be brave. Because as US, we were sort of an underdog. We knew we had great athletes, and we knew that we could compete, but that we weren't necessarily favored to compete, and that maybe our rugby skills weren't quite up to par as some of the other nations. But we knew that we had it inside us to fight and to just be brave, and I still sort of carry that theme with me through every tournament that I continue to play.
Beautiful. Rugby sevens has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. When I was first involved with the US team, because my wife was American, not because my accent is much the like, we were paid $100 a day living doing a full-time job which wasn't rugby, and then we were told to fly into Chula Vista and attempt to make the team against 20 other players. It was quite a difficult and an interesting situation. How has rugby changed over the last decade? Not rugby per se, but how has the US program changed?
Can you take that one? So like I said, the program has gone up. It's changed dramatically, especially for the women. Instead of being a pay-to-play model, it has become a no-cost or get-paid-to-play model. I was fortunate to be one of the first full-time residents at the Chula Vista OTC in 2012, where you actually, got to not have to have a real job, and you got to go in every day to the training center, and they fed you, and they paid you a stipend so you could pay rent and all this great stuff. And it has really just totally changed the game at the national team level for, all the way through, because you can just focus on rugby. You can do proper strength and conditioning, you can do proper nutrition, and you just have more time to practice, because it's all about who can work harder, who can work smarter, who can put in all those extra time doing the handling, doing all the skills that is required to compete at the highest level.
Switching gears, before Rio, Madison and Perry, what were your favorite memories representing the United States?
So I think I'd pick three big ones if I have to choose my favorite memories.
I just said favorite memories. So,
favorite.
But yeah,
you said memories, plural.
That's
so
true. That's true. We went to Gotham. There he is. There he is.
The first of those was at the London Sevens when we came out. We won the whole tournament. That was the first time a US team had ever won a tournament World Series. And so that was at the end of Mike Friday's first year as coach. And I think over the course of the year we've been building, we've been getting a lot better as a team. And for us that weekend, kind of everything came together. And a lot of people ask me what was different, and it's really hard to put your finger on it. I think everything we did, we were so connected, we were choosing the right options, and it's kind of, you're in that kind of flow, that zone that is kind of so ephemeral and doesn't really mean anything, but you can kind of know what you're talking about. And it was kind of the whole team just clicked together and made everything happen. So I'd say that was the first of my favorite memories. The second one was at the NACRA Sevens when we qualified for the Olympics. So that was just, I mean, it's something a lot of us have been kind of dreaming of, looking forward to for a very long time. And to kind of win that tournament, beat Canada in the final, and book our spot in the Olympics was just an incredible culmination of all the hard work we put in, a vindication of it all, and it was a massive feeling of relief and knowledge that we could keep moving forward because the team was qualified for the Olympics. And then the third one I would say was beating New Zealand for the first time in the US team's history. In Dubai, the first one of this last season. I think they were the only team at that stage that the US hadn't beaten, so to kind of get that final scalp and really have say we could beat any team, we have beaten every team, and the way it happened, it was just such a total team effort, and to have it come so dramatically at the end, it was an absolutely incredible feeling. So those are your memories, Dallen.
Appreciate that, Madison. Perry?
I'll just give one memory. Mine would be also beating New Zealand for the first time. So you hear so much about the team, and that was the only team we haven't beaten before, so it just felt good to actually beat them. Where is that?
Perry, how many tries did you get in that game? Banks, how many times did you put the ball down over the line?
Twice, I believe.
And then a game after that against New Zealand?
Say again?
The victory after New Zealand after that.
What do you mean?
How many?
4.
You don't even know your own stats. Keep the change.
Yeah, I don't know, It's about winning. It's all about winning, man. It's like we get a team victory, that's it.
No, I will say, seriously guys, that is a ridiculous accomplishment. I mean, for decades upon decades. We've got Ray Cornwall here, by the way. Ray, can you stand up as well? I mean, I don't know if you can still stand. There he is, Ray, you can, you're a legend. First coach of the US Men's Eagles and first time to Hong Kong 35 years ago. So I know it's a long time, Ray, you're shaking your head, but it was legendary. Never beaten the All Blacks until these little sensations came back and did it, you know. So massive congrats, and congrats for standing there, Ray. Okay, switching gears now, Women's Sevens program, Kelly. There was a coaching change late in the game. Jules McCoy got dropped, and Richard Walker replaced her ahead of Rio. How did that affect the team in your preparations?
Yeah, our team had an interesting last year. Rick Sugga left the program in September. Julie McCoy came in, and then she left the program in March, and Richie Walker came in to take us the home stretch to the Olympics. I mean, I think that as a team, you know, it's one of those things where it brought us together. It really forced us to take ownership of the team as players and come together as players, and you know, be like, the Olympics is the goal, and nothing's going to stop us from that. And I think with the time that Richie had through the Olympics, he really helped facilitate that and brought in some great people to help us, really help us refine our defense and carry us through.
Very politically correct answer. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so you land in Rio. You're not killed by the Zika virus. Okay, tell us about the opening ceremonies and being the first group of rugby players at the Olympics since 1920, when Steve Lewis was in his prime.
So yeah, Kelly was unfortunately not able to attend the opening ceremony, so Perry and I can deal with this one. I thought the opening ceremony was an absolutely unbelievable experience. I mean, it's just so many emotions going through you as you're kind of walking towards the stadium, and you got the flag bearer in front. You're surrounded by the rest of Team USA, and it's one of those moments that makes it really real, that you're a part of Team USA with all these famous athletes that you see on TV all the time, and it makes you feel that kind of sense of community with them, I would say. And then you walk into the stadium, and I mean, we walk into stadiums a decent amount, but I've never kind of felt so small in the stadium where you're looking around, and it was enormous. And the stands were packed, a lot of noise, and I remember just looking around and just being in utter awe of kind of where I was. And then, yeah, I mean, you walk around and you've got all the cameras going, and you're kind of with your best friends, your teammates, and you're getting excited, and it was an absolutely amazing experience, and you're just feeling so many emotions, the kind of pride and the honor, and yeah, it's just amazing. So Perry.
Just like Madison was saying, the opening ceremony was everything to me, because that let me know like where we were, like we were actually there, and like it's nothing like standing in a tunnel with everyone with one goal, and that's one to win a medal, and everyone is chanting USA. It was unbelievable. And then you walk out and everyone is yelling, and you hear that chant. That is an amazing chant, USA, USA, USA. It was just pumping us up, and then like we're there with your teammates and everything, and you're just saying like all the hard work you've done, then you're here now, you're actually in the Olympics, and you know your friends, your parents are home watching, and then you're actually getting all these texts like, "Well, you see you on TV, you see you on TV." That's really good, you know. So that was really amazing.
Now, you guys did steal the limelight there. Andrew Girtalo actually was right in the front with Michael Phelps carrying the flag, and then you guys were on NBC as well. Let's move on to on the field. Okay, so difficult times for both teams in the first match. Kelly, let's first talk about the women's first round game. We know that with having 12 teams, which you normally have in the World 7 Series, was always going to be difficult winning 2 matches to advance. Tell us about that first game against Fiji.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, people in the rugby world know, Fiji is always a tough match. They're very physical. We've gone back and forth with them this past year in the World Series, and the game just didn't go how we wanted it to. I mean, at the end of we could blame it on, Olympic jitters. We're like, where we, it was the Olympics and we just didn't quite click. We didn't quite play our game plan. We didn't play as connected as we knew we could. We had a few, little errors that didn't go our way, and ultimately, that's part of the great thing about sevens, though, is that any game can go any way, and unfortunately that one didn't go our way, and we really set ourselves up for a challenge for the rest of our pool games, and we did our best to rise to that challenge.
Yeah, as a fan watching, we got the sense that obviously the Olympics is something else, right? A lot of you played on the Sevens World Series for many tournaments, and Madison, the next question is for you, the same thing. Sevens is a crazy game. You've mentioned beating New Zealand, winning the Twickenham Sevens, but nothing prepares you for facing whoever you're playing in the first game. Tell us about that Argentina match.
The Argentina game was the game that ended up really costing us. I think we came out and we didn't play at the level we knew we could, or we know we needed to. I think we had a few tough impacts going early on, and that made it a bit of a whirlwind after that. But I think it was a tough game, and we just didn't perform how we needed to. And I think, was that kind of nerves at the Olympics? I don't know. I mean, I think you get out there and you're just kind of trying to do as best you can. And if the team isn't quite clicking on the levels, then it's hard to put your finger on exactly what went wrong. I mean, you can look at individual decisions and say, oh, we should have done this here, we should have done this there, but kind of looking at the reasons of why you didn't make those right decisions is a bit harder, and something we have to look at a bit more.
Perry, at one point it was 5 Argentina players against 7 USA players. That opener went off like a frog in a blender. You guys have finished eating, so it's okay, right? I can say that. That's a question. The opener went off like a frog in a blender. 7 against 5. Tell us what was on there.
So if you recall, we were losing when they had 7 on the pitch. When they had 5, we ended up scoring, and we're beating them 14-12. So, we had the opportunity to close the game. Just costly things happened. We didn't communicate well with each other to say what we wanted, and we end up kicking the ball out of bounds. They get in the midfield. They end up holding it for 20 seconds, and they end up scoring. I mean, it's a game of 7. It happens, but I mean, we could have got a turnover somewhere. But it's a game of 7. You live, you learn, and you go on to the next one.
Now, I'm just throwing you in the hot seat there because you avoided the questions earlier. Good answer there, Perry, and it really is. It's a tricky game. It's 7s, which is goes either way. Back to the women's side of things. Day 2 was a new day. Let's be fair. Australia have been untouched so far in the Women's Sevens World Series. They've been absolutely sublime, if you ask me. They had to come from behind to score just to tie against you guys. Tell us about the game and why or how you guys played so well.
Yeah, I mean, we as a team had a really, good talk. We came together after that Fiji game, and we're like, okay, like this is where we are. We need to crush Colombia, and we need to get it to the quarters. We need to beat Australia or hold that game really close because Australia has only been beaten like once in the last year. So, but we knew we could do it. We knew we had it in us. We knew that we put in a lot of work since the end of the World Series, and we were a much different team than we were through that tournament. And that was a game where we just wanted to set the tone with physicality. And for those of you who saw KJ's hits, we definitely did that. And just, from the start, it was sort of the total opposite of that Fiji game, where like Madison was talking about being in the zone, we were in the zone, like something happened and your teammates were there. You made a mistake, your teammate was there, and it was like that mistake never happened. It was a full team effort, and it was probably one of the best games that as a team we've ever played, and even though we didn't come out with that gold, we can hold our heads high that we tried our best.
Well, not only you tried your best, you're the only team that gave Australia a run for their money in the whole tournament, which is remarkable. Round of applause, please, guys. In the final pool match, the Eagles were as dangerous as Edward Scissorhands giving a neck massage, and they defeated Colombia 48-0. The quarterfinal clash put you guys in, still in the gold medal round. You guys played against New Zealand, and that was a barn burner, start to finish. Tell us what happened, and obviously how you felt after that game as well.
So the New Zealand match, we ended up losing 5-0, which is the closest anybody got to them other than Australia, who beat them in the final. And it was, just a defensive standstill on both sides. Just, but we, so many things happened in that game, even though it was low scoring. And it was just, again, we were like, okay, we're in a tough spot, but we could do this. We just go out there, we play how we can play, and good things will happen. We had one missed tackle that led to Portia Woodman scoring, and Portia Woodman's arguably probably the best women's rugby player. And so it's, hard to stop her 100% of the time. But at the end of the day, the same thing. We came out really physical. We executed, and it was, I just can't even, in my head, it's much more about the emotions than about actual things that happened. I'm having trouble describing it. But emotionally, it was very focused. It was very aggressive. It was almost if we were in a war of attrition, just with my teammates, and you're just out there, you have each other's back to the bitter end, whatever that end may be, and that's what it felt like, and to me that's what happened.
No, thank you for that. I've seen Portia Woodman up close and personal, and I was very scared. But switching to the guys' side of things, Madison, it really, looking at Coach Mike Friday, it's amazing what he's done with the group, because a few people remember qualifying was a big deal for the United States. It wasn't a guarantee, and for a second, myself working with Mark and Rugby USA, I thought, well, how great would it be that the Olympics is on and rugby's in it, but then realizing that Canada are playing, representing North America. That's terrible. Sorry, there might be Canadians here, So no, I'm just kidding. I'm saying, without America there, it's not much of a see what you could make, So you took the next pool match, and you're in the men's division, beating Brazil 26-0, but the team still didn't look very polished.
Yeah, I think we won that poll. No, I think we started out slowly against Brazil, and knowing that having lost our first game, we needed to get a points difference, because the way the Olympic Sevens worked, there were 3 pools of 4, and the top 2 teams from each pool went through, and then the 2 third-place teams with the best points difference went through. So we knew that in order to try and become one of those third-place teams, as we were likely to be if we were playing Fiji in our 3rd game, who were the #1 team in the world for the last 2 years. So obviously we were going in hoping we were going to win that game, but knowing we needed to assure ourselves a good points difference against Brazil, who were the weakest team in the competition. And we started out a bit slowly, and that hurt us. I think as kind of the match went on, we did get into it a little bit, and we started to get some scoring going in the second half, but that slow start really cost us, because we didn't build up kind of the points differential that we wanted to.
No, exactly. And then Perry, moving on to that last game, you mentioned Madison. Fiji, I mean, an unbelievable team. They never won a medal until that round. What was going through your mind playing against Fiji, knowing that you had to win to make the knockout rounds?
Well, we beat Fiji before, and at the end of the series in London, we beat them on our last game. So getting ready for this game was like, I felt like we were ready for this. Like, this is the type of moment we worked hard for, this is the type of moment we wanted to be in, to beat the reigning champs. So in my head, it was like no pressure, just go out there and play the game of sevens, and we always play them tough. Like, it always comes down to the last second of the game, every single time. So in my head, I was just thinking, like, go out there, this is going to be the game that we're going to shock the world. And if you look back at the game, it's no time on the clock, and we have an opportunity to put them to the sword. And we ended up not running our system, which we wasn't looking polished the entire time. I don't know why. And they ended up turning us over and kicking it out, and that was the game. But we definitely had the opportunity. So in my head, I felt like we played them hard, and I don't think anyone didn't play hard. I just felt like it's a game of seven, and things like that happen. It just don't go our way sometimes.
What's interesting is that the men's side as well, like the women, that was the closest the team got to the eventual gold medal winners, which is kind of, I know it's not much to say that afterwards, but it's pretty remarkable to think about afterwards. Let's switch gears quickly, last few minutes before we got to wrap up. What are your guys' highlights off the field? Okay, so during the rest of the Olympics, you got to see a few things in action. Give us some of your highlights after the rugby tournament was done.
Sure. So I was really fortunate. I stayed around for about 10 days after we finished playing, and I went to see a ton of the other events, and I absolutely loved doing that. I'm a bit of a sports fanatic, so it was an awesome experience. We were able to sign up to go to any other event we wanted to, and you weren't guaranteed tickets, but you had a pretty good shot at getting them. So I saw a lot of other events. I think I went to 13 in total. I saw the women's floor gymnastics final. I saw the semi-final of the men's basketball. I went to table tennis, which was actually really fun. And then beach volleyball, I saw the Brazilian team play, and the crowd were absolutely unbelievable. It was like I was a bit underwhelmed by actually the sport itself, but I was just kind of standing around and watching the crowd, and they were just getting so into it. It was awesome. So those were my highlights.
No, the women.
For me, like Madison, I stayed and watched a lot of other sports, and that was amazing just to see, the people who are at the top of their sport in every sport, and it was like just the level of athleticism across the board is astounding. But another aspect of the post-Olympics that was really awesome was just seeing how much support our team got from the United States and from and just women's rugby around the world, the type of impact it made. Because another aspect of what we defined as being successful at the Olympics was making people proud and making the people who are important to us proud. And just hearing from family and friends, or even from strangers on social media, or from the media itself, being like, man, you guys are awesome, you guys represented the country well and you made us proud. That was really special.
I mean, we saw Matthew McConaughey supporting you guys there, the guys and the girls, which is phenomenal. Next quick question is, what impact will Rio have on rugby here in the United States? Now that it's done, what impact will it have? And also think about, for the guys, particularly having somebody like Nate Ebner that crossed up from football to rugby, what will that mean here for our athletes? The guys go first.
You guys go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I think, I mean, we've been really hopeful for kind of, 5 or 6 years now that the Olympics could have a massive effect on rugby in the United States. And I think we've seen some of that excitement, some of that buzz. I mean, you've got a lot of mainstream media picking up on rugby, a lot of people who perhaps have not seen rugby before, seeing it, thinking it's a cool sport. And now it's about kind of building on that, getting a lot of those people who've seen it, getting them involved in the game, getting them watching, getting some more kids playing, and I think it's getting more youth involved in the game is really how to take rugby to the next level. And I guess the hope is that the Olympics has been a part of getting people excited about rugby and getting more people into it. On Nate Ebner, I think that helped bring a lot of different media looking at the Olympics. It had a lot of people who perhaps might not have watched it. I spent quite a lot of time in New England, and no matter where I was going, everyone was like, "Oh, you're a rugby player? Do you know Nate Ebner?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." So it's getting a lot more people looking at it and getting excited about it. And so I think that was an awesome part of having him on the team. But it's also not why he was on the team. He was on the team because he deserved to be there. He put in the work. He had a great attitude, and he was a valuable component of our team.
It was great having rugby in the Olympics. Definitely helped the game grow a lot. Everyone now who watched the game are very much involved in it now. Want to know about rugby. More sponsorships are coming out now because of being able to watch it and things like that, and us being in the Olympics. It definitely helped the game grow. And then this right here, right now, what we're doing while we're here right now. Starting kids young in it. Like for me, I didn't have it in my high school, didn't have it in my college, and I'm only 30. I'm not old. But so it definitely helped the game, and looking forward to see where it goes.
Thank you. And I must say, driving across LA, the Staples Center, there's a big poster of Perry Baker just up there in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's phenomenal. He was the Budweiser, I don't know if they paid you a lot or if you didn't even drink, you should send the beers our way. But it really has elevated the game. Kelly, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I hope that for the Olympics that it makes rugby more part of the mainstream, so that when people go out and be like, I play rugby, people don't say like, oh, is that the sport with a stick? You're like, no, that's lacrosse. Like rugby's different. That happens a lot. You'd be surprised. But also just that rugby being the Olympics will help. I play rugby because I love it, but I hope that being in the Olympics, legitimizes it a little bit more so that people who are like, I think I would love rugby, other people are like, yeah, that is a cool sport, not, ooh, I don't know if you should play rugby because it's rough or whatever. But yeah, it is rough, but it's also super fun and super empowering. And it would be really awesome for lots of people to play rugby, for lots of girls to play rugby, and to have girls see that opportunity like, oh, I could do that and I could go to the Olympics with that, or oh, I could do that and I could go to college for that. And that's what is my hope for rugby going forward.
And finally, I know some people need to go to rest some things again. I just want to say from a personal point of view, I really admired watching you all play on television. I know what it takes to be there, but you guys really went above and beyond, and it's a hard thing, right, to keep playing all the way through, especially knowing maybe we're not into the final rounds. You guys went through all the way, you guys came 5th, you guys came 10th, but still finished very strong in the tournament. What? Ninth, my bad. Ninth and 10th place, finished 9th. I would like to ask you guys final comments on an evening like this, and I really want to thank you guys for coming through, but final comments from you guys.
For me, just thank all of you guys for spending your night with us. Thanks to Play Rugby USA for bringing rugby to lots of kids and for inviting us out to this evening.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having us. I think for us, kind of we're involved in the elite levels of USA Rugby, but to kind of get to spend some time with an organization like Play Rugby USA, who's developing at the youth level. I think I had a really great time with me and Perry last night. We went and watched a training session with the kids. And that's awesome to see. I don't get many chances to see kind of that youth rugby development, but it is so exciting. And I think looking kind of 5-10 years down the road, that's really how US rugby can really take the next steps forward, is when you get these kids who've been playing since they were that age, and you're taking kind of the natural athleticism of your Perry Bakers, and you're pairing with people who've been playing rugby for that long. So it's really exciting to see. I think there's great work going on, yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Special thanks to Play Rugby for inviting us to be here. I had a great time. Yesterday was a really amazing time. Some little kid did step me.
It's now fact. It was a rumor before tonight started. It's now fact.
Yeah, he did step me though, but I had a great time, and I'm glad you guys came out. And to the dinner, it was really good, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Quick selfie over here, guys. Quick selfie, ready? All right. Final round of applause. Thank you so much to the Olympians for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in action soon. All right, guys. So next up.